How are you doing, Willsie?
I'm good. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. How's your summer been since Dev Camp?
Relaxing. Yeah, back home in Ontario with my boys and wife, and away from no travel, no hotels, which is nice in the summer because it gets busy now. So nice to relax, but fired up to get going again.
Can you tell me a little bit about how this offseason maybe differed from others, gearing up for the draft as normal, but then there's some coaching changes to the AHL side?
Yeah, so in a normal summer, development, management, Kevin McDonald, and the AHL coaches, we get together on calls and talk about a plan going into the season. Andrew Cogliano's involved in that now as well. So, but having to fill two vacancies there with the head coach and the assistant coach, that made it a busier summer for Kevin. And then when they come in, it's almost like onboarding. You're going over the present players, the returning players, I guess, and then the young players who I've worked with in development. So there was a lot more communication through the summer than we've had in the past. But this rookie camp tournament is a good kind of initiation to get things going for that staff, as they're the main coaching component of this camp.
And I imagine Kevin McDonald does the heavy lifting
Yeah.
in that coaching search, but do you have a little bit of a role in advocating for different things that you want these coaches to hit on developmentally?
For sure, and Kevin came straight to us, Andrew and myself, just on things that we'd like to see in a head coach there. Obviously, we had two pretty special ones before that with Greg and Aaron, but no, he comes right to us, and we all discuss it as a group. And that's a big list. It's a very popular job. It's a great place to live. It's a great building. We always have a strong team, and it's a great affiliation agreement we have. So he got a lot of attention, and it's a lot of work for him to get that list down, and he used us in helping him do that. But ultimately, super happy with landing on Mark and Derek.
And I'm sure it's difficult to boil it down to just a few key
Yeah.
things, but what were some of those tenets that you were looking for in a coach?
Yeah, Mark having the playing experience, knowing both leagues very well, just a really a driven, organized hockey guy. He came in and the interviews were great. The way his development kind of thoughts and the way he sees the development path for the players, emphasizing the winning in the American League, but also getting these players ready, coming from amateur, whether it's college or junior, and the way to get them good American League players, but ultimately, that's just a stepping stone in getting them to the NHL. So that part of it is key in that role.
And what can fans, players expect in Mark Letestu?
There's a lot of similarities to Aaron Cheekloff. Personality-wise, very engaging, very detailed, cerebral guy. Thought out answers. I just met him this summer, so I've enjoyed my time with him. Met him in person for the first time this week. So, very similar to Aaron in that regard, but also has his own flair of, what he wants to bring to the team. And I think he's excited about the roster that we have and the young players coming in, and also the high expectations come with being in Loveland.
And one of those players, Gavin Brindley, he has some familiarity with already having coached him.
Yep.
What is the file on Gavin Brindley as a prospect?
I didn't get a chance to see Gavin in Cleveland, but I saw him in Michigan and in his draft year. Ultra competitive and skill, and you mix those two things together, then you have a hockey player. So you saw that in Michigan. Your first year pro is tough, whether you're coming out of a junior or college, and you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about how you need to train in the summer, how you want to approach your second year. And, talking to Gavin, those are all things he used as a good experience for him. And now he's excited for the fresh start. So, I think the high-end skill will be pretty attractive for people to see, and, being a big part of that offense there. But then when you back it up with the competitiveness, that's an exciting player for us.
And what is the expectation for Sean Behrens this year, coming off a difficult season, having dealt with injury last year?
Yeah, it's just one day at a time for Sean. We're excited that he's full participant in this camp. You think back to development camp, still wearing the red jersey, and you just think it seems like forever. That's tough. Your first year pro, he had such a great career at DU. We were excited about the way he finished and came in, and then to have an injury like that and just in a weird play. It's integrating yourself into pro hockey is tough, but then he did it being an injured player the whole time. So really, he's coming in. It is his first real year, even though he was there last year. So defense is different too. The development path for defense is usually longer than a forward, just learning the game and the experiences and the touches. So in a good spot there. Tim Branham and the coaching staff there just already done a ton of time. He knows the systems. He knows how we play just being around it last year. So that learning curve is very short, but just he needs to get game action, lots of it, and then, just keep evaluating.
And what can you tell me about the rest of this defensive group in this tournament? A couple new faces in Alex Gagne, kind of newer faces in players like Connor Kelly, Hank Kempf.
Yeah, some of those college free agents, it's a great opportunity. We spend quite a bit of time scouting those guys and then finding them at the having them come in at the end of the season. It's very valuable experience that they get after their college years, and they're older players. It's a bit different than you look at Sage Weinstein. He comes in as a 20-year-old. Yeah. And he's sitting beside a 23 or 24-year-old, both rookies, but maturity-wise, body maturity-wise, there's a difference there. So you have to approach them differently. They're not the same. They're not the same learning curve for those two type of players. So we'll get a good glimpse of those guys this weekend. Alex Gagne, he's a big man. Yeah. Just notice him in practice there. Comes in as a real good defensive defenseman from a good college career at New Hampshire, so we're excited to see him. You see someone like Sage, who was on a real high-end Spokane team in the WHL, but again, he's 20, so there's going to be a learning curve there. So mixing them in with, we have some of the best vets I think you can get in the American Hockey League, wherever they land, but with seeing Jack Ashon and Wyatt Amont and those guys around here, they're pretty special guys to learn from.
And Gagne fits kind of a different model of player than some of the other defensemen that have come up through this system, and just knowing the way that the Avs like to play, what is the path forward for a player like that?
Well, just getting into pro hockey, that's an adjustment. So, as a first-year pro, a bigger player, even today in practice, you take them aside on a one-on-one, like you can impose yourself, and just learning how to impose yourself and use your size to your advantage and strength. Sometimes they don't really know how strong they are. So learning that, in college hockey, it's, playing a ton of minutes and a ton of opportunity here, understanding that, you may have a lesser role, at the start, and then as you gain experience, it increases. But there's something to learn almost every day in the American Hockey League, and we're fortunate to have that weekend type league where you can practice all week and learn with video and pre-practice and post-practice drills, and then get into the games on the weekend and then have another week to learn. So, a player like that, you hope to kind of spoon feed them, not really throw them right in the fire and bring them along slowly and let them learn from practices and games. And it's that size, you can't replicate that, huge hands on them. So it'll be fun to watch them grow.
And I know Sage was injured last year for the rookie tournament. So what is your expectation for him, and how does he separate from some of the other puck-moving defensemen?
Sage, the number one asset for him is the skating. He just gets around the ice so well. That's what impressed us his first year here in development camp and rookie tournament when we signed him. Going back to junior, defending Berkeley Catton and high-end players in practice every day, that just helps you. So the ask for Sage going into the summer and from development camp now was just to get bigger and stronger. Yeah. He's got naturally a slighter frame, but if he wants to play that defending style, because the needle is kind of in the middle for Sage for his defensive D or offensive D. Yeah. Like, he defends hard, but he skates so well that he can skate himself out of trouble and make plays that way. So just kind of, bringing him along that, use your skating to your advantage. You may be outsized in certain battles, so there's a different path to winning that puck battle, having a good stick, and those are things you don't always learn in junior, but in pro, it's something that he's going to learn very quickly. And
what's the latest on Taylor Macar?
Taylor, not cleared for rookie tournament, but coming in the right direction, I would say. Yeah, progressing well. You guys have seen him skate here. Yes. So progressing well, no setbacks. Just one of those that just takes time. Okay. It's until the doctor says, yep, good to go. It just takes time. But it's nice to see the progress that he's made and him skating out here now. And then, before too long, we'll be seeing him flying around on the ice up north.
Is that around a training camp time, or maybe past that?
I'm not sure of the exact date, but I wouldn't pinpoint it in training camp, but it's in the next weeks, I would say. Yeah, is the hope, but again, he's tracking well, and it's those players, it's always great when they can get that little taste in the spring.
Yeah.
He's, he knows the guys. He gets experience because they never get an NHL training camp, and he still hasn't had one.
Yeah.
Being in college.
Oh.
Yeah, still hasn't had one, but it's just, progressing well, and we're excited because we saw some good things in April from him.
Yeah, what were some of those early returns and what you saw from Macar?
Yeah, just another player that skates really well, a big player that skates really well. So pursuing pucks, turning pucks over, making plays after turning those pucks over. Playing under the two college coaches he had in Hockey East were great learning experiences for him. He got a lot of good habits from them, and now it's just learning that pro game. But with the way he can skate and get in on pucks, and he has a heavy shot too. So putting all those things together. Is one thing in college when you're an older player, but now getting into pro at the age he's at, I think it's it's another player we're excited about that can help that lineup.
And I'll turn to the forward side to wind this down a little bit.
Yep.
But Nikita Pashob, kind of an interesting first introduction to the pro game and getting in some NHL games straight from the draft, and obviously a pretty good season up with the Eagles as well. Comes to an end with a little bit of an injury, but I think otherwise a really strong player in that Barracuda series. Yeah. What was the overall assessment of Nikita Pashob's first year?
Well, if you think back to 1 year ago today, before rookie camp, he came in as a 7th-round pick, an older 7th-round pick, so he really only had his overage year left in junior, so we weren't sure where he was going to land even. Come to rookie camp, come to NHL camp, did well, went to AHL camp, and then out of that gets himself an NHL deal. So that's a good story for other players, that even though you're a 7th rounder and a 20-year-old, that can happen. So learned a lot early, and was a player that just got better every day. Like it came down to, is he going to get better going back to junior, or can he handle pro? And we felt he could handle pro. He did, and just being around those players, around those coaches. Quite often you found himself on a line with TJ Tynan and Wagner, and being around those guys and them helping him practice, and the sturdiness on pucks that got him the NHL recall. And then NHL recalls can be just a 24-hour thing, if you're not trustworthy. But he gained trust, and that's how you stay. So he got the 10 games, which was impressive, and he earned it. It was earned games, and then going into summer. After that injury, he got home for a bit, and then we had a good plan between myself and Andrew Cogliano, put it together, and just improving the skating, just getting that 5 to 10% better in skating, and he's had a great summer. So we're excited. We're excited to see him tomorrow in rookie tournament for sure, but ultimately through NHL camp and how he navigates that.
And because of all the center options up in Loveland, I've seen him play a little bit of both, and sometimes at this level you see guys get resigned to the wing, but do you see him having a pro future at the center position as well as the wing? Yeah,
I think that you're right. The juniors and the college kids that come to pro, the centermen ultimately start on the wing, just it's easier, more trust. But I think he maybe got a half a dozen or 10 games at center last year. But he's center this weekend, and that's ultimately what we see him as. But I think getting that year as a winger in the American Hockey League it taught him and taught us that he can play that position well as well.
And I know it was such a limited viewing, but Cooper Gay, one of those new additions to this prospect pool, seems like he's a lot of pro habits already built into his game. What do you think of him?
Well, he's a specimen. He's huge. I mean, off the ice in the gym, he takes such good care of himself, and he's completely prepared. So he's left no stone unturned there. And then getting that experience and in the spring and understanding how to use that size. So strong, skates well. And he was ready for pro. He has that pro body. He's got the pro mentality. He's a very mature kid that understands his role and how to play his role well. So I think when you come from college, you can, that size, it really, really helps you, and you can get away with certain things. But now at pro, there's more guys that are that size. You'll see that this weekend, even with some of these prospect teams we're playing there. Everybody's big now. So understanding that, how to use that, protecting pucks, making plays after contact, things like that. But he skates so well. So those are pro things that he'll learn early on. And again, I keep saying it, but we're excited for him.
And I know he's not in this tournament, but Bartikov is coming over from the KHL. What is your expectation in terms of NHL readiness?
Yeah, it remains to be seen, I think, until you get it's great that he was over here so early. I think that's always positive. Over here early, skating with the players, intermixing with the vets and getting used to the North American ice and the style and the plays and all of that. But, watching him like we did in the last couple of years, he skates so well. And that's, strong skating teams and quick transition and getting in on pucks. That's what we're known as. So that's the player that fits that mold. Who really knows? Hopefully he can step right in and be one of those impact players and use those assets that he has.
And as far as Nabokov, does Pavel Francouz work with Nabokov, or is he more on the scouting side of things?
No, it's kind of, but Pavel wears a few hats, with that. So, he's definitely has the scout as his title, but he is such a way. Player development is a lot about relationships, creating that relationship and trust with players, and that's how we develop that friendship with the player early on, so that they trust us, whether we're critiquing or complimenting or whatever it may be. And Pavel is so good at that. He's such an engaging person. So he's developed that relationship with Nabokov. So it's that relationship that is growing. He's talking to him. You leave them alone when they're in their league and let the coaches do what they do. KHL or OHL or wherever it may be, but you have that relationship, and he wears that player development hat with him, and that's been helpful.
It sounds like Andrew Cogliano is another person who has been wearing many different hats. Yeah. I knew him on the development side with prospects, but then I learned he was also working with Parker Kelly last year. So can you tell me a little bit about how his role has expanded now from last year into this one?
Well, I mean, anything that Cogs does, he does it the way he played. He's all in. He's leaves no stone unturned. Hard worker at whatever, whether it's player development or speaking with maybe a third or fourth liner with Colorado, whatever it is. So he's some of the prospects we had last year with Cal Ritchie and Taylor Macar in college. He worked a ton with them. Or if it may be someone who's called up like an Ivan or Nikita Pashob, if they're up with Colorado, then he'd spend some time with them. So being around the NHL team. So many different hats for Cogs. Whatever he's doing, he's all in, and he's a huge asset because of just being out of the league so recently. So much to offer those young guys, and they're absorbing everything. They're hanging on his every word. So I think we're lucky to have him be so closely related to those players.
And when he develops these plans for the players, is this something that includes on-ice work together as well as breaking down film?
You mean throughout the season?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's not on the ice, but we work with, whether it's Mark Popovic or the AHL coaches or the NHL assistant coaches or skills coaches last year, Toby, whoever it may be, there's constant conversations that you watch a game and you see some things, whether it's wall work or whatever the skill may be or the habit, and then you have that conversation and they say, I got a drill for that. So then it's, it's from the video to the on ice to the game, and then keeps it rinse and repeat. So whether it's the guys in the Eagles that we're watching and seeing there, he spends quite a bit of time with those prospects as well. Whatever you can pick up, a small thing to help. He has such a good eye, watching a game, whether it's just a video or it's live or whatever it is, and pick something up and then get on it right away to help that player.
And this will be the last one, but in addition to things like players popping on the ice offensively, what are you looking for this weekend?
I mean, there's the cliches of competitiveness and, showing their best. And I think the message from us is there's someone in our organization, whether it's an area scout, a GM, assistant GM, or coach that liked you and wanted you here. Show what that is. Show what that is, whether it's a defensive D shutting down plays, making simple plays, or it's an offensive forward that's creating, then create. And don't do things that you're not known for. So we want them to do well. We want them to be confident. We're putting them in positions and spots where they can succeed. And, hopefully they all show their best. It's just super exciting that we can host it here. We've been in a lot of great places, and they've all hosted very, very well there. But for us to have two games here, it's exciting for us.